Good morning, everyone. Or for those that have recorded this and watching it later on in the afternoon, good afternoon. So, welcome to the second of three reflections as we approach Holy Week. For those that can remember, on Sunday I reflected around the necessity of the cross and Peter's objection to Jesus when he said, "This will never happen to you, Lord." Now I moved on and said how today that the necessity of the cross, as explained by Jesus, is still a major stumbling block to human pride, and that salvation through grace of the cross is free. So today I would like to move on to Jesus talking about each of us taking up our cross to follow him. Again, where I use John Stott's view from his materials, I will make it known. For those with the Bible at hand, I want to read Mark 8 verse 34, and again I will be using the NIV or the New International Version, and it is called the Way of the Cross. So Jesus said, "Then he called the crowd to him along with his disciples and said, 'Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up the cross and follow me.'" It seems strange that Jesus immediately talks to the disciples about their cross and also inferring our cross, having explained the necessity of the cross for himself. So if anyone wants to follow Jesus, Jesus used the word must. They also will have to take up and follow the way of the cross. It's an odd saying, but in Jesus' time, during Roman occupation, anyone who saw a condemned criminal carrying a crossbar or a patibulum, and I hope I've pronounced it correctly, would know that what they were and what was about to happen to them, that they were going to be executed. And as John Stott observed in his reflection, this was the imagery that Jesus chose to illustrate the meaning of self-denial. John rightly says also, we must rescue this meaning and not to debase what Jesus was really saying. The self-denial that he's talking about is not giving up luxuries during Lent, like your wine or your chocolate, or that your own personal cross is some personal or painful trial that you've got to go through. If we think like this, I think we're in danger of trivializing Christian discipleship, as if it were no more than, say, adding a thin layer of piety in an otherwise secular life. John says if you then prick this veneer, you find the same person underneath. It's a bit like if you make a cake and then cover it all with icing. If you prick the icing, the cake is still the same underneath. Jesus, in this saying, is saying, if you wish to follow him, becoming a Christian, becoming his disciple, is so radical that no imagery can do it justice except death, and resurrection. This means dying to the old self of self-centeredness and stubborn pride, and rising to a new life of holiness and love. If you look at the equivalent reading in Luke's Gospel, Luke also inserts the word daily, where Luke here is emphasizing that this needs to be a continual process. So it comes down to this. Have we as Christians buried our old life and risen to a new life as a disciple of Christ? Paul in Galatians states, I have been crucified with Christ, and those who belong to Christ have been crucified to their sinful nature. Taking up the cross is not a one-off event. It needs to be a radical change in our lives. A radical change in our lives that we have to work on daily. In prayer, in worship, in love and service to all those around us. And it's not easy. Everyone struggles at this because none of us are perfect, especially me. But we can take heart, for Jesus said that following him would not be easy, which is why he sent the Counselor, or the Holy Spirit, on Pentecost to help guide us, to help us on our way in this journey with him. So I hope you found this little reflection interesting, that it's been helpful to your thinking and giving you something to pray about in the coming days. Again, I'd like to finish this little reflection with saying God bless, keep safe, and I'll be back this Friday with the final part of this little trilogy of reflections, with a reflection around what is known as the ransom saying, or the meaning of the cross. So God bless, and I'll see you Friday.